Hello there, Ray here. We got some brand new blocks in the game that also have some new redstone features. This is all in the latest Bedrock Edition preview, and these features will eventually come out to Java Edition. There's a new shelf block. This is different than the chiseled bookshelf, and this is what it looks like when you place them down. To craft them, you need some stripped logs. Put 3 down here and 3 in here in a crafting grid, and this will produce 6 of the type of shelf. And it doesn't work with normal logs or the stripped wood version. And then it's just a block that you right click and place down. And you can easily break this down with your fist, and using an axe will make it go faster and you will get the item back. And once placed down, then you can just hold whatever item you want to place inside, click on whatever slot you want to place the items into, and it will place the entire stack into that slot. And you can even swap items out, so you can swap out this block for that block, or if you have an empty hand, then you can pull it directly. And these shelves come in every single type of wood, including bamboo. But if you put power into the shelf, then when you will right click the shelf anywhere on it, and this will swap out the 3 items on there with the 3 items in your hotbar. And if you have more than one of the same type of shelf in a row, so we got one here, as well as one here, and one here. Now when you right click it, depending on which ones are powered, it will swap out more items at once. So we got 2 of these powered, so it's going to swap out 2 sets, a total of 6 items. And if we power the last one, we can switch out our entire inventory with what we have on the shelf. This is really nice when you're working with different types of projects. You can come in and hurry swap out your items and then start doing something else in your world. The downside is it is kind of clumsy, as you do have to come in here and kind of set it up the way you want it to be. And every time you do want to swap out your inventory, you do have to come back to this same area, which is really annoying if you're working on a project. You have to come over here, swap out your items, and then go back to your project, at which point builders were probably just going to move the items from the top row here down here and then continue building. So I don't feel like this actually fixes the whole inventory management thing, where people have too much stuff in their inventory and they can't really easily move it around. But this probably will be used more for individual projects where you're maybe like going to XP farm, you need to grab some stuff before going there and then charging all your armor and tool before coming back and switching out with whatever you had before. So I definitely see people like using these when it comes to individual little places. Maybe you're going to go to your AFK fish farm, you just want to swap out everything with like your fishing rod, but you still need to think about removing other items, especially if it's a farm where you might potentially die within it. But how do you think people are actually going to use this? That one swapping just one set, do you think they should be swapping it starting from the far right like they do it? Or do you think they should change it so that when you swap it out, it moves the first 3 items in your hotbar? And you can see which shelves are connected as they have different texture. Here you can see like the edge as well as the edge right here, meaning that this one's not connected. But once we power this, you can see the edge is moved from there all the way over to here, with the texture being mostly consistent in between them. Now the redstone, other than actually changing the visuals of the individual shelves, there is no current comparator that can like read the output of how much is inside of it, which is different than item frames where you can do this. So hopefully they add this as well. Now these things are similar to item frames, which can only hold 1 item, so they're more efficient. They might be nice to use like in storage systems where you maybe have like a couple different items that are representing the items that are in the chest behind it. It'll be interesting to see if they create more or less lag than item frames, because in Java Edition, having a bunch of item frames causes a lot of problems. So I wonder if having a bunch of these with items in it is also going to be a problem. But I know builders are definitely going to like this block, as it's kind of a vertical slab. For the longest time, people want a slab that was vertical, so you can kind of like cover up things on the wall. And that's what this actually is. It's actually kind of between like a vertical slab and a trapdoor. The cool thing is they don't need to be, so you can like remove the blocks behind them, where they actually have their own unique textures, which looks really cool. So I definitely see builders getting excited for that reason. And they sort of look like pillars when they get stacked like this. And the cool thing is, unlike trapdoors, they don't actually have any holes, so that they're completely solid. So you can use them for like a solid wall. And you can place them down in any direction. So you can kind of make these like little teeny fences, kind of like a garden wall or something. Pretty cool. Where a trapdoor is 3 pixels wide, these are a total of 5 pixels, which is still 3 pixels less than a actual vertical slab. Now, whenever they add something where the player can like remove stuff and place stuff into containers or stuff like this, there's always a chance that there's going to be a new dupe that can be done with this. And it seems like Bedrock Edition has been kind of bad when it comes to item dupes, so we'll see if somebody finds something. If you have any other questions about the shelf, let me know, as I will be answering them in a future video. There's also a new block in the game, which are these copper golem statues. They look really cool. And what they are is they're actually the copper golem, which you spawn in with a copper block and a pumpkin. And once these guys are in the world, after a while, they'll just naturally oxidize. So here I had a test where I had one of every type, and they slowly started oxidizing, so I ended up with a couple of the really oxidized versions. And they added it now so that when these guys get really oxidized, they can end up completely freezing, turning into these statues. So this will only happen if they are not the wax variation of these guys. So if you don't want them to freeze, all you have to do is use some of the honeycomb on them, and then they'll turn to the wax variation. And then you can continue to use them like in my array golem sorter, where they go back and forth and sort out 1/3 of all the items in the game. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below. Now there is no crafting recipe when it comes to the copper golem statues. They just gotta make some of these really oxidized guys and then just wait for them to freeze. This guy here, like soon after I made him, he actually looked like he froze, so... Oh yeah, that guy just froze, yeah, like maybe 10 seconds after I made him. So I guess it's not too hard. So I'm definitely going to have to make an automatic farm to actually get these guys frozen using the oxidized copper as well as the pumpkins. Now if they happen to be holding any items in their hand, when they freeze, they're just going to drop the items on the ground. So keep that in mind. But once they are frozen into a statue, they're an actual block that you can stand on top of. But if you want to change their oxidization level, you can do it just like you would remove the oxidization level off of these guys, just by right-clicking with an axe. And if you continue right-clicking, if you get to this stage, if you do it again, you can bring them back to life. You can see their little eyes light back up again, so he's alive once again. But you cannot actually use dispensers in order to put on the wax or try to remove wax. But you can put wax on automatically if it's a statue. And a lightning bolt will clean off the copper golems, as well as the copper golem statues. So if you have a lightning rod nearby, it will automatically do this. But you can change the pose of these golems just by right-clicking them with an empty hand. So he's standing up, now he's sitting, and now he's like in the walking mode. And then you can do this one where his hands and arms are sprawled out like he's doing a star jumping jack. I think this is a really cool feature. It kind of reminds me of like the custom armor stands with the hands holding stuff. The only thing is that these guys don't actually hold anything, but it would be cool if they would change that so they could hold something. And of course, armor stands, you can also put armor on them and decorate them and stuff. So they're a little bit different, but it's definitely a nice little aesthetic thing that you can put in your builds. But just like the shelves, the copper golem statues also have redstone mechanics. So when they're in different positions, they actually produce different redstone signals. So the default one will put off a redstone signal of 4, and then walking is 2, and the sprawling is 3. And just like the living ones, you can also wax these so that they don't change, so they don't get more oxidized. Or you can even remove the wax from them if you want them to get more oxidized. So you can do a little bit of redstone logic, but depending on what position they are in, you can have it open or like close the door, which is essentially like a combination lock. So only certain combinations will actually open the door, which would be a really cool way to have like a hidden base door. Now they did say that when they do freeze, they're going to freeze in a random pose. So one of the 4 different poses. And there you can see that guy froze and he dropped his item. Now if you do name a copper golem with a name tag, when they freeze, they will actually keep their name. So if we go ahead and clean this guy off again, nothing shows right now, but if we clean him again, you can see he keeps his name. That's great. They also made some improvements to the copper golems, when before they wouldn't access trap chests. So now they will also be able to open trap chests and put stuff inside of them. But they still don't access any other type of container or even a chest with a block on top of it. And if the cats stand on top of the chest, they're not able to open them either. But you can pick them up inside of a boat. You can put these guys on a lead, but if they're standing off of the ground, they won't actually access any of the chests. So you can't like have them completely suspended. And they can take fall damage and end up dying. But the weird thing is, since they are a golem, when they are in the water, they just sink to the very bottom and walk around just like a normal iron golem. They're also not so picky when it comes to certain types of armor and tools. If they would happen to have some like durability removed, they'll still sort those together. They'll also sort items together even if they have different names, but if it's the same item, they'll now put them together. And they'll also put together bundles. Doesn't matter what's inside of them, as long as they are the same colored bundle, they'll put those together. So they're much better at sorting. Look at all the different items we got in here. They're able to put the similar shulker boxes together, as well as the similar banners and even similar armor, even if it has different enchantments. But it seems like when it comes to different timed potions, they will not put it in here. This guy has an 8-minute potion and this is a 3-minute potion. So they see those as being different. Other than that, they're a lot better at putting stuff together. I know some people will be disappointed about this change because they thought they can use this to get like really specific types of custom keys and stuff, but you can do it other ways. But if one of the guys is holding an item and you want to get it out of their hand, you still can't right click it in order to pull it out. You just have to give them an empty chest in order for them to drop it off. Now, if you kill one of these guys when they're holding a totem of undying, it'll actually break it and you get the effects, but it will no longer cause them to get glitched. It also made a bit smarter so that if they're checking out a chest and they get hit, they won't keep trying to go into the chest. Instead, they'll try to run away first. And when it comes to the copper chests, they are more blast resistant than normal wood chests, so that could be helpful if you're near explosions, but you can always waterlog them or they'll never explode. They also added so that when mobs spawn into the game, there's a chance that they will actually have copper armor on them too. This is similar to finding guys with like leather or gold or iron or chain, or a rare chance of even having diamond. You can never find them with netherite, but it's really cool that we can find them now with copper. And copper will be between leather and gold, so it's going to be pretty common. And you can see, even though I just spawned a couple guys and I happen to get some with some copper helmets already, which does mean you can go for some cool rare Halloween mobs that naturally spawn in with some copper armor and then have a jack-o'-lantern head. But for them to be rare, you just got to make sure they don't have the pick up loot tag. And the copper does look pretty cool with the jack-o'-lantern or pumpkin heads. We also got a brand new full release for the Java Edition 1.21.8. So just like the previous 1.21.7, where it comes in and tries to fix a bunch of bugs, this one does the same thing. This includes fixing small visual glitches with different types of Intel processors. Here you can see random colors that are integrated into the beacon beam. This one's pretty apparent where all the different slabs in the game are all black. This problem also applied to entities. You can see they were just shaded too dark. And even items in your inventory would get completely colored in. This also affected the shading of the individual items. You can see how there are shadows on top of these. And even crashing over your entire game when it tried to load a shader that was outdated. But unlike the previous full release, which also came out with some new stuff like this cool painting of the dog, as well as the lava chicken music disc, this full release isn't going to give us any little things like that to encourage players to update, but you should definitely update. Although I don't know how hard it's going to be to update mods, and hopefully mods haven't updated too much so that they can update to this newest version with all these problems fixed. Now, last time when showing the new copper chest, they accidentally showed this little image in the background, which looks like the glowberries, but except they are blue instead of yellow. And quite a few of you guys messaged me about this, but as soon as I seen it, I just figured there must be some testing thing along with the chest, like they were doing tests and they just happened to get screenshots of what the final texture looks like on the chest, and then they happened to get something in the background. And this was actually confirmed by one of the Java developers, saying that this is just how the artists do stuff, where they'll test out different textures in one world, and they accidentally happened to get these blueberries in the background while they're just trying to show off the chest. So no, we're not going to get some new type of blueberries. And if we did get some new berries, they wouldn't make it look just like glowberries, where they almost have the exact same texture and just a different color. I'll be experimenting with these new features over at my Twitch live stream, which I'll be doing right after this video, so come check me out with the link down below. See you there. Bye-bye!